being a resource, and not just a resource for your own product either, by the way, or your own service, but being a resource at large. Oh, hey, Matt, you had a question on X. I don't do that, but talk to Joe over there. He does that. He might be a good resource. Or here is a white paper on that from some other obscure place. Check it out. And again, and typically you're like, okay, well, Sean's a good dude at least. At least he's trying to help me out with something. That's it. And we're all here to be friends. And that's where vendors need to pay attention to. I think vendors sometimes get themselves in a rut where they take on traditional marketing tactics from like the 90s. And that's not the case anymore. Nobody follows a company, by the way. People follow people.
Mm-hmm.
Fact. Look at, and the best analogy of this is, who has more followers, the Lakers or LeBron James? Yeah. LeBron James does.
The Lakers are an entity, and that entity can be filled with, the entity is just a container. And in that container is something that's going to vary over time. And what we care about is inside of the container.
You care about opinions too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I want to know your position. I want to know how you see it because I want to know if we relate. The Lakers are an entity. They can't relate. They're the same as...
They're a tax number.
My mouse does not have personal feelings towards me.
Well, we're going to have to get you a new mouse. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that. We can talk after this.
Well, we've been in therapy. We've been working on it. It's not... sort of shut. No, it's not about you. We're fine. So just Matt and I talking.
It's okay.
The
magic mouse gets really touchy at times, you know. Anyway, so I got a good question for you, Sean. I think this would be something that would be really helpful to the audience here. First impressions. I think that first impressions are important. I think that a lot of the work that's going to be done with the contestants and the applicants or contestants.
Yeah, I call them contestants.
I'm just waiting for you to have the Bob Barker microphone when I hear the tell them what they won.
Exactly. I want that little thin mic. I want that thing. Yeah, go ahead.
Everyone wants one of those, and everyone should just say the price is wrong and just whack someone in the head with it.
Exactly.
And move on. That's I think a fantasy most people have had ever since Bob Barker's been on TV. But
yes.
First impressions are important. First impressions are what open doors and sometimes shut them if you're not prepared. So I was going to ask what your first impression of me was, because I remember the first time you had seen me was a Ninja One event, and it was this guy with the mustache and the checkered shirt. And were your first impressions of who I am aligned with who you know me as now?
Yes, absolutely. Because to me, so again, back to understanding your audience and who you're with, right? We're in a tech space. If we were in the banking industry, I would immediately put you with the 1,800 bankers, right? But we're not. We're in IT, right? And in IT, the thing about which I love about being in the IT space is that I have a sleeve. I'll have another sleeve in next year here, and I walk around with t-shirts on at work. I go to conferences with a t-shirt on, and nobody questions it. Nobody challenges it, right? If I were to do that in other industries, it'd be frowned upon, right? Because there's a certain expectation. But from you, when I met you on day one, I felt like, first off, we have, well, let's go back to the whole IT space. You have people that just wear polo shirts and fleeces every day.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then there's the us, where we're a little bit more flamboyant about, we have taste, we have style. I'd say they don't, because they have comfort style, of course. But I like to add more stuff into it and flavor into it, which you do. So it's very fitting. So that's one aspect. The other aspect is your first impression of you. I was like, first off, the mustache is really pimp. It is awesome. But not only is the mustache awesome, but the way you were dressed and the way you looked was perfect. It was like you stood out right away. And then when you spoke, you were articulate, you were educated, and you possessed that charisma that blended with your outfit. So yes.
Thank you. And I will say that the plaid shirt is one that I've owned for about 20 years now. So that's just kind of ingrained in who I am. But I think that's part of it. I'm comfortable in my own skin. And I think that's what we want other people to be, especially the contestants of this program. And I'll tell you right now, the first time I had seen you anywhere, Sean, was you talking about me. So that made for a really interesting first impression. But what you said, you had a great sense of humor. You talked about me in a very objective way with respect to the event that I had been a part of, where the image and everything came from. And that told me that you're a straight shooter. You got a sense of humor, and you're going to be someone who is going to be a pleasure to connect with. And
I appreciate that.
I'd like to say that the success rate on that, as far as I'm concerned, is incredibly high. 10 out of 10, would do business with again.
I appreciate that.
Applications for the ConnectWise Pitch It program are open through April 30th, 2023. Now in its 5th year, ConnectWise's annual Accelerator program is dedicated to incubating growth in startup ignition partners dedicated to the MSP space. $100,000 in grant award money is available to the top 2 finishers. No cost to apply and no cost if you're accepted. Learn more and apply at connectwise.com/theitnation/pitchit.
This has been a broadcast of the MSP Media Network.